Joining us now is the author of The Price of Principle, Why Integrity is Worth the Consequences, Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, along with Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarret. Gregg, let me start with you here. When we hear about, my background has been with women's rights and even abortion rights for a period of time. The fact that the Supreme Court effectively returned democracy to the American people so that they could vote on these things, removing it out of that category of a court of lawyers making decisions about these things. How is it that they're arguing that this is a strike against democracy when the court was pretty much removing it from their jurisdiction to the jurisdiction of the voters themselves?
Well, the Supreme Court represents the sanity and common sense world order, if you will. And, Joe Biden, whenever he weighs in on the Constitution, the Supreme Court, or the rule of law, he mangles the subject matter, which only underscores that this is a guy who got kicked out of law school. I mean, the sum total of what Biden knows about the law could be written on a yellow Post-it. And I'm talking about the little one. His latest thing is let's federalize abortion rights. That's a fool's errand for two reasons. From a legal standpoint, remember what the Supreme Court said. They said, we are returning the decision-making to the states. So if Congress were trying to codify it, it would immediately be met with a lawsuit to strike it down, usurping the power of the states. But from a practical standpoint, Joe Biden wants to create this chronic state of whiplash. Every time a new party takes over Congress and the White House, they would reverse the previous decision on abortion. So you'd have this persistent ping pong effect. Look, abortion is important. It shouldn't be treated like a rubber band, expanded and contracted.
Yeah. Thank you, Gregg. And Professor Dershowitz, regardless of what we think of the decision, the fact that the President of the United States on foreign soil is complaining about the Supreme Court, do you find that troubling?
I do, and I find the whole attack on the Supreme Court's integrity and the Supreme Court's justification to be very troubling. I've been studying the Constitution of the Supreme Court now for 60 years. I've seen it go through cycles. The pendulum swings widely. I remember when the Birch Society had signs up, impeach Earl Warren, impeach Bill Douglas, when the right was very upset at the left swing of the Supreme Court. Now the left is concerned about the right swing of the Supreme Court. We have to respect the institution. We have to remember that these justices stand for the rule of law. We may criticize particular decisions, that's fine. But when my former colleague, Liz Warren, who I sat next to for years and taught the same section of, trashes the Supreme Court as an institution, that's going to do tremendous damage to this country, and it's going to come back to hurt her and her liberals, because today the attack comes from the left, tomorrow it might come from the right. We, those of us who love the rule of law, a rule that we celebrate on July 4th, have to stand by our institutions as institutions. Yes, criticize a particular decision. Try to do better next time. Yes, think about whether you can do legislation. But don't trash the court as an institution. Don't do what my other former colleague, Lawrence Tribe, now says. Pack the court. Let the Democrats add 4. Then the Republicans will add 4. Soon the Supreme Court will sit in Yankee Stadium with 30,000 justices deciding these cases.
Exactly.
No, 9 is the right number. Let's keep the Supreme Court as it is.
It isn't.
Don't tinker with justice.
Gregg, isn't the answer to have, I don't know why the left suddenly wanted these unelected lawyers to be making all of our decisions. That isn't the answer to have Congress be involved, to have the state houses be involved. Isn't this the normal order? It's almost as though they're making a reversal out of this effort to protect politicians from having to make decisions on these issues.
And that was the point of yesterday's Supreme Court decision on the EPA. The Supreme Court was saying essentially, read the darn law. I mean, nowhere in the Clean Air Act, Section 111, does it give the EPA this unbridled power to remake an entire industry with punitive, draconian measures against coal-fired plants and natural gas plants.
Yeah.
You know, the Supreme Court is saying, read the Constitution, read the statutory law, don't read things into them,
right,
but limit yourself to what the law says.
And that they're not going to make legislation. That's the job of legislators.
Turn to the public, win elections, win elections.
Exactly.
I'm a liberal Democrat. I want to see us win more elections.
Exactly.
I want to see you guys lose in the state legislatures and the electoral vote. But
I have to go. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Democrat.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.